guys, welcome back to the channel. I know we haven't filmed in a while, and honestly it's just because really nothing has been going on until now. So today I'm going to show you our next step in our journey to citizenship, and that's with filing form I-751. We're going to show you everything we're including in our packet and all the forms and documents that we're providing to file for this petition. So this form is I-751, and the official title is Petition to Remove Conditions on Residence. So basically a year and a half ago, when we went for our couples interview with the immigration officer, we received approval for the green card or the permanent resident card. And that card is only valid for 2 years. So essentially what this petition or form does is it requests another permanent resident card that is valid for a longer period of time. So in order to do that, we've put together all this paperwork, and honestly this one is not so bad. It's pretty easy and pretty straightforward, which is nice. As you can see, this is my binder here of all the crazy paperwork that we've done throughout the years. This petition that we're filing, this is the I-751, and we are filing it jointly. So if you are divorced or if your partner is deceased, then you won't follow these steps exactly. I'm only going to be sharing with you our situation, which is we're still married, so we're filing jointly, meaning we're filing together, and also we do not have any children that we're filing in association with this petition. So if any of those cases pertain to you, then you can definitely go onto the USCIS website. You'll see there's some additional documentation that you need to provide. But for purposes of this video, I'm going to be showing you the I-751 when you're filing jointly and with no children. So the first thing is, when we went for our interview a year and a half ago, the immigration officer actually told us that 90 days before the permanent resident card expires, you can apply and put together the paperwork for this extension. So essentially, we knew it from that. And then secondly, we also did receive a notice in the mail. I won't show it to you because it's confidential, but the USCIS did mail us a form that basically says, hey, it's 90 days before your green card expires, you need to file this form. So they do send you a nice little reminder. And lastly, if you have any questions, you can go onto the USCIS website. I did notice that they have updated everything, and so there is a lot of resources and information on there. As you know, through all our paperwork, we do not use a lawyer, we do it all ourselves. So we really use the USCIS website as a reference. One of the tools that they have on there is actually a time calculator. So it will tell you, you put in the dates and it will tell you when you can start applying for this new green card. I know in previous videos I have used a binder, but I have moved on from the binder, and now I actually found this little plastic envelope. It has a little zipper, which is my new favorite thing. So I've been using this now when we file our paperwork. Basically, I'll give some tips for filing in a different video, but the USCIS has put out some guidelines of things that they recommend or prefer, and anything that's easy for them to disassemble is better. So I think this is pretty easy, and it also protects it during shipping. But I basically just put all the paperwork in here, and here it all is. And I will say one tip, just with any petitions that I filed, I always make a second copy for myself. So everything I'm doing here, I'm making a second copy. As you know, things take a long time, so we're submitting this now, but we may not hear back, or we may have to go for an interview in, let's say, a year from now. And so I always make a second copy to remind myself of, what I'm putting in the packet, and also I bring it with me in case there's any questions or anything comes up. I'll have that documentation there with me. let's go through exactly what we're putting into our folder. Okay, so the first thing is the money. I have included checks, one for the filing fee and one for the biometric service fee. So again, I always suggest to look at the USCIS website to stay up to date with everything. The current filing fees, the current forms, all of that information is on there. For us, the filing fee today is $5.95, and then the biometric service fee is $85. And that fee is per person. So again, if you're filing with children or something like that, then the fee will be different. So again, check out the website. They also have a fee calculator now that you can go and look. I'm putting two different checks, one for the filing, one for the biometric. But again, I don't really think it matters. I think you can combine them into one check as well. That I don't think really makes a difference as long as they get the correct amount of money. So next I have this cover sheet here, and this is actually something that I found online on Visa Journey, and it's just a template, and I filled in all the information for us, but it basically tells the officer, hey, this is what this packet is, this is what's included, and it kind of has a checklist of all the documents. So I'm going to go through that checklist now so you see everything that we're including in our packet. So this form first, and again, this is in my perspective, so I'm like filing, because again, we're filing jointly, so it's his information, but I wrote this letter saying, hey, this is the information for my spouse. So here is all of what's included. First, the form I-751. Again, you can get the latest form online. We just printed that out. I filled in everything on the computer, but then if there was like a few spaces that I couldn't type in, so those I just hand wrote with a black pen. And then of course, don't forget to sign it. That's like the most important thing. Both you and your spouse will need to sign this, so don't forget, or your application will probably get rejected. The next thing that we have is a copy of his permanent resident card. So the front and back, I just scanned and made a copy of that and included that. Pretty straightforward there. The next thing they ask for is 2 sworn affidavits by US citizens attesting to our relationship in marriage. So basically we reached out to some friends and asked them to write letters basically vouching, saying that, you know, we got married in good faith and that they know our relationship, they've seen us through the years, they detail how they know us, things like that. So it doesn't have to be complicated, just like a one-page letter. We did have 3 people do it, just for an added bonus. Wanted to be an overachiever, but I mean, I'm sure you can have 10 if you want, or you can just do the 2 that they ask for. The one thing that we did do is we had them sign it and mail it to us so that it's like the original signature, there's no questions there. And then they do ask you to have them put some specific information. So the name of the person, their address, their date of birth, their birthplace, their email, their cell phone, and then the relationship to the couple. So how they know you. And again, these letters can be fairly short, but just detailing, hey, this is how I know them, and this is how I know that their relationship is legitimate. Okay, next we have basically all the documentation of our proof of relationship. So all these things will differ depending on the person and the couple and the evidence that you have. I'm just going to share with you some of the things that we're putting, but if you look online, you'll probably find a ton of other examples, or you'll think of other examples of what you want to include. But this is anything that proves that you're still together, you're living together, you're married, you have a legitimate relationship. So by now you probably are used to doing this in the process. So the first thing that we put with ours is a copy of our last year's tax return. So yes, I did print like the whole thing. I just felt like to include everything so there's no questions. So it was like 30 pages or something, but I printed that whole thing out. So that's here. And then the next thing that I have, again, this will differ per person, but just to give you some ideas, evidence of our joint checking account. So I went to the bank and I actually got what they call a deposit account summary, and essentially on that piece of paper it lists both our names as the account owners, and then I also printed a statement online. So I have both of those things just as proof that we have a joint checking account. I also included statements of a few of our credit cards which we have together showing joint ownership. So it just shows like some of the transactions that I made, some of the transactions he's made, to show again that we're living together and that we have these joint accounts. We also have some documentation where anything that you can think of where you're listed as the beneficiary for your spouse. So in this case, if it was like a stock account or insurance, life insurance, I included documentation where I listed him as my beneficiary and he's listed me as his beneficiary. And again, it doesn't have to be complicated. I just either took a screenshot of the online portal showing both our names or showing that we've listed each other, or again, just online statements, things like that. The next thing, is health insurance. So we also share health insurance. So I included a copy of our elections, and then I also included a copy of the health insurance ID card. And then the next thing is our policy for our auto insurance, showing joint policy for that with both his name and my name. And then I also have the DMV registration from our vehicle showing a joint ownership. That was actually mailed to me, but again, you can provide whatever evidence that you have. Lastly, any utility bills that you have showing both your names. So in our case, I used a phone bill, and again, I just went and got the statement online. But if it's a gas bill, water bill, internet, cable, anything like that, and again, you can provide as many as you want. I always think the more evidence, the better. So feel free, whatever you have, I suggest providing that. So I included a copy of that showing both our names on the statement. And then a copy of our apartment lease. So if you have a house or a mortgage or an apartment, I provide that evidence. Our lease, I did print the whole thing because it shows both of us initialing each page and then also signing on the back of it. So even though it's a million pieces of paper, I just wanted to be thorough with everything that I'm submitting. And then lastly, the fun part, I got to go through memory lane and I collected all the photos that we had from when we got our green card approval up until now. And what I like to do for that is, instead of just, printing out photos or something, the individual 4x6 photos, I actually put them into a Word document and then print it out. That way I can provide more photos and also put a caption or a headline of when it is or what the activity was. In general, I always recommend not just putting pictures of, just yourselves, but you with other people, whether it be friends or family. I think it's probably great evidence if you put, like I always put me with his family or him with my family, just showing that, we do have a life together. We are, growing and our families are aware. And again, anything that you have that is just proof of your relationship. And, I also included a copy of our holiday Christmas card. Again, just further evidence of our life together. And that is everything. So I'm super excited that we're getting one step closer. So again, I've sectioned everything off just by paper clips, but I'm going to be sticking it in this little folder here. Yay! And then I will stick this in the mail. And the address is an Arizona address. It's just generic for everyone, and then I guess they kind of filter it out, but you can find that on the USCIS website. So just to recap, I do want to mention, again, feel free, use the USCIS website. They actually have a checklist now and a lot of good information, and also to make sure you're getting the most up-to-date stuff, like the up-to-date fees and the up-to-date forms. And that is all. Thank you guys!